All right, guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. We're going to be talking about the S24 Ultra and why it is not the best phone on the market. So some people argue that this is the best phone on the market. And I'm going to say this. For me, it is not the best phone on the market. While this is a phenomenal device, it lacks in an area for me that there's something in some areas that are important and that, you know, really give life to a phone for a person like me. So you're going to have your reasons why you think it might not be the best phone for you or the best phone on the market. And you also have some reasons why you think it is the best phone on the market. There's more. And let me start by saying this. Let me just set the foundation here. I'm not nitpicking. This is just my personal opinion about using this device versus using other devices that I use on the channel. So take that in mind and don't take it personal. Because some of you guys get really hurt when you start to hear things about a device that you have and you know, you forget that this is just a person's opinion. So start there, reference that note for yourself before you get up in arms, because I'm not nitpicking. I use my devices heavily for pretty much the same thing, and it's creation. And so with this device, Samsung's color science when creating, and it's not just the Ultra. This applies to Samsung phones in general. Even Google has corrected their color science on their phones. Even they've corrected their color science when using these cameras for video. If you remember, I did a video, you know, kind of checking out the Pixel 8 Pro, like, whoa, is it really going to do good with these colors? And it killed it. It killed it. It just did a phenomenal job with the color science and the way something looks true to life is the way it actually looks on this video that you're watching. So bear that in mind too. But Samsung devices tend to saturate the phones in just a weird way. I don't understand why. It comes across almost like an orange tint of red, or just whatever color you're trying to get to. You're going to have to edit it before using it for a specific video. Like, let's just say HDR video. So let me go in here and we'll go back to UHD. And most of the time I just record with HDR turned off, because HDR content, while it's not bad, it's not up to the standards that I like that from other devices that I have. So even, like I said, Google has fixed their HDR content. Apple has always been really great at their HDR content. Samsung, not so much. I'm not a fan of the Samsung version of HDR. And I'm just not a fan of how they do. Everything's so punchy sometimes. It's almost the wrong color. And I'll give an example. I recorded my truck with my S24 Ultra, and this content, while it may look phenomenal, it may look great, it is not accurate. It is not the most accurate representation of what the truck actually looks like. So if you know, my cars are rapid red, pretty much. They're just rapid red. Here's the HDR content. So this looks great, right? This looks really good. But when I swing around to a different angle with the sun, it just, and pretty much my Mustang is the same color ultimately too. But this is the video that I was putting out with the truck. And it looks good at this particular angle. But when I start to shuffle and swing around, it makes it look like the truck is actually more of a bright orange red. And just in certain angles, when it's looking at it, it just doesn't hit right. So let me show you an example of what I mean. I'm going to show you a video that I did on my iPhone in that same spot with just my Mustang. And that video pops like nothing else. It is just and I end up actually scrapping this one and not using it and actually using the video from the iPhone. I'm not gonna front, I did. So here's content from the iPhone, and let me show you So I get out here, you can see this is all on my car channel. These cars are ultimately kind of the same color, but look at what the iPhone does to the color. It actually keeps it the same color. This is the color of my Mustang, and this is being shot in HDR, and this is being shot in HDR. And it's almost like Samsung is still blowing out the content. It's so strange that, you know, they just can't get it right. If you look at, and I shot on the same spot, and again, these are pretty much the same color. And to prove it to you, I actually scrapped this video and I used a different video, and I used this iPhone to do it. But look at how beautiful that looks. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to go ahead and go into the video that I actually chose to use, which is this video. So, and it was actually almost nighttime by the time I got back around to doing this. Now the sun isn't out anymore, but still HDR content is HDR content. And this is the true representation color of the truck. It's not a bright red truck. And so that's the referencing point. When I want to use really strong HDR, I just can't pick up a Samsung phone because the colors will not be represented very well. Now you're gonna say, well, Joe, you're just crapping all over Samsung. Get out of your feelings. I'm actually recording with my S23 Ultra, and it is not in HDR because I think it does better this way. It does better this way. So that's something that I noticed immediately when I first tried to shoot HDR content. It just was not hitting. I was furious. I'm going to start doing some more 8K footage for you guys. So that's why I was in 8K. But it's disappointing at this point to know that, yeah, I want to do more HDR content for you guys. Some of you guys love HDR content. Some of you guys don't even know it's in HDR because you don't have an HDR compliant device. Some of you guys do. Some of you guys say, wow, this video's popping. And most of the time it's with my iPhone 15 Pro or just my iPhone 13 Pro. It's with an iPhone pretty much when I get the content just right for HDR. Now you probably said, Jay, that was a long 5-minute spiel on HDR and why you don't like it on the Samsung phones. Well, you're right. Again, my perspective on this, if I'm paying a lot of money for a device and my main thing with phones is video recording. I mean, look at how stellar this video is right here coming from a phone. Now, you guys know that I do use an external microphone when I'm recording in this setting, but sometimes when I'm not in this setting, I don't typically use an external microphone. With Samsung phones, I don't really have to. When I'm out and about, if I'm recording and it's windy, it'll pretty much cancel out a lot of the wind. So Samsung, I hold in high regards. Again, this is my take on this, on why this just can't be the best phone on the market. And then you have phones like Vivo, OnePlus. Okay, look, let's be clear here. I know that the OnePlus has Hasselblad on its side. I know it does. These cameras, when I compared them to the Z Fold 5's cameras for video, I just thought that it was better on the OnePlus. Samsung's cameras are great, but they're good, but they're not an all-around package. You know what I mean? Like, so it's got solid. I've always said that they have the best camera suite of any piece of software. This is a fact to me. I think it's a fact. This thing is loaded up. Now, it's not better than Sony's camera suite per se, but it is loaded up with everything you'll need if you're a creator, right? So that is when I hear some people saying, "Oh, it's the best phone on the market," I'm thinking, I don't know if it's the best phone on the market, because a best phone on the market really only exists to the person that's using it. And this is an area for me that is like this has to be at the top of the list. Your camera suite and your camera performance has to be on par with at least an entry-level mirrorless camera or DSLR. It has to be. And at this point in the game, I've said it before, phones, are passing mirrorless cameras and DSLRs from what I can tell. That's just where I sit. I would choose the iPhone and the S23 Ultra for creation over a mirrorless camera or a DSLR, because it's, first of all, it's the convenience factor is top notch. And then the HDR content that you can do is top notch. And then editing on this device. I mean, there's so many pros to having a smartphone over a mirrorless camera at this point in the game. If people don't think so, I respect your opinion, but I can create a stellar video from a phone and you wouldn't even know it was from a phone. If I put in the effort and do some serious animations and editing and all this stuff, you really wouldn't think. You'd probably be asking me what software I'm using to edit with, because a lot of people ask that. But the question is, what camera did I use? And smartphones today, the cameras are so good, you do not need to spend the other money, I should say, on a mirrorless camera or a DSLR. That's just my thoughts on that. This is convenience at its best. It is the best creating tool you can have. Some people say, well, what's the best camera? I used to give my insight on cameras for people for creating. I still recommend like the ZV-1. That is a phenomenal camera to create with. It doesn't cost nearly as much as a cell phone, and these phones in particular. And, you know, you'll still need other editing software or whatever, but it's still a great camera to create with, because it can do a lot of the things that cell phones do. It's for the person that's getting away from a cell phone and you're tired of creating on a cell phone. You know, that's who it's for, I believe. So, but with Samsung, their color science still isn't there. I just don't think it's there. Now, another thing about this phone that I would say makes it to where it's not the best phone on the market is Samsung is cramming a 5,000 milliamp hour battery in here, but it can cram a little more in there. And then also this design of this device isn't the prettiest device on the planet. There are so many other devices. This, again, take this for what you will, but it's my opinion. This device looks worlds better. It feels better in the hand. This hardware is way better. It's just a better looking and feeling device. And the same thing with the iPhone. I mean, I have it in my leather case, but this is a much better feeling and looking device. Overall, when I start to compare them for longevity, this is not it. It's not it. Some people say, why do you care what a phone looks like? Not so much what it looks like, it's the hardware itself. Just not a fan of the boxy hardware at all. And it just doesn't hit like that. So another thing that Samsung, to me, that will make this phone not the best phone on the market is the software. So contrary to what a lot of people believe, this is one of the best pieces of tech that you could possibly get your hands on, folks. If you're not using your S Pen, you are slipping. However, with all the software that's baked into Samsung devices, it's almost overkill. You know, because there's so much software in here. I forget about it. Sometimes people are saying, did you see the so-and-so? I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot I even had that. And which leads me, I'm not getting even me as a creator on the software side, Samsung doesn't have an official video editor like iMovie. They don't have it. They should have had it by now. That's just a shame that there's nothing that's competing with iMovie on a phone that's free per se. You can say, well, Jay, nothing's free. It's in the price of the phone. Okay, still. Why doesn't Samsung have a native video editor that can compete with iMovie? They don't. I have to pay for PowerDirector Pro. It's way better. That is better than iMovie. More innovations, more text, more everything. It's just better than iMovie. PowerDirector Pro is. You got to pay for it. You got to pay for premium. Yeah. So the software, while nice, to me, it lacks that. It's got this beautiful pro camera suite. It's got an actual pro export RAW, pro photo, pro video, portrait video, dual recorded. It's got it there. But unfortunately, where am I going to go edit all my beautiful content at? Samsung doesn't have a native piece of software baked into this oversaturated software. Remember TouchWiz? They just don't have. They need some better native apps. You've got these pro things on this pro phone, which is really nice. But give me, as a creator, give me a pro video. And even though there's people out there that buy this that are not creators, you should also still want some software that should be there. Like you can clown iMovie if you want to, but iMovie is solid, man. I use iMovie on my Mac Studio. I stopped using the paid software X or whatever it is, Final Cut Pro. I stopped using that after I got it, and I was like, I'm just gonna go back to iMovie. You know, everybody's at a different level of editing too, by the way. And iMovie is a very advanced piece of software to edit with, whether you want to believe it or not. Final Cut Pro, people are going to tell you it's better because they're paying for it. And it can do a lot more, but in the scheme of things, the people buying these phones, these very expensive phones, are not professionals. And even some of the people who call themselves content creators, some of them don't even edit their own content. They pay somebody else to do it, or somebody else does it for them. And even if they're doing it themselves, they're still not a professional. They're just a person who's really good at it, and that's just what it is. So with Samsung not having a pro video editing app or just something like that, and you got to buy it because it's Android, I don't think that's a good look. Clown Apple all you want to, like I said, but I have to buy. And you're going to say, well, Jay, there are some free editing softwares, but a lot of the free editing softwares that I've tried, you can't export at the highest rate you want to. They start saying remove ads or something of that nature. You know, it's not worth it to me. It's better to just buy the software and leave it at that. Like, remember Nova Launcher? You know, some people still use Nova Launcher. I don't use Nova Launcher much. I only use it on devices that it just needs it. But most of the time now, you can edit the software and it'll be good. So while Samsung software isn't bad for a person like myself, it's missing that key feature. You give me these banging cameras, which oversaturate and get the colors wrong on HDR content, but they promote HDR content. They promote this device as a creator's device. So HDR Plus is HDR compliant. They talk about these things, but I need a piece of software that comes with the price of this device that can compete with iMovie at least. Strike a deal with Power Director and start giving them a piece of pie or something to have a native video editor on the device. Now, if you're a content creator and you're using the Samsung S24 lineup or just any of the Samsung devices or just Android devices, how about that? If you're using an Android device, what paid software are you using to get the most out of your creation? What are you using? Because I know you don't have any, those free ones are cool, but they're not that nice. I've tried plenty of them. So yeah, the camera's color science still isn't there. Is it bad? Is it horrible? No. Like I said before, I'm creating with the S23 Ultra. Yeah, I'm not doing HDR, but it's beautiful this way. This is a perfect setting for the cameras on these Samsung devices. Perfect. If I didn't tell you I was using a phone, you probably wouldn't know it. The camera quality is just that good. That is a head nod to Samsung for continuously putting out phenomenal cameras on the devices, but up the game. Most of the time when you look on social media, the HDR you're looking at is coming from an iPhone. It's not coming from any other devices. Now, even Google still needs to work on their HDR, but at least the color science has been taken care of. I like it. I like the color science better from video in certain situations for the Pixel 8. It's just there. And then this design. It is time. I'm going to say this, and you just take it for what it's worth. S21 Ultra. Did you not like that hardware? Come on. While I wasn't a fan of the camera module, imagine the S21 Ultras with the nice smooth corners or whatever with this camera module. You just think about that for a minute. And then Samsung's lack of creator tools for a person like myself. Yeah, I got my S Pen. I got the software, the One UI 6.1. I got all these things, but is it really doing me that much good as a creator? And even not as a creator, the regular person I've found, like these people who do TikTok and all that stuff every now and then and just Instagram, they don't consider themselves professionals, but they're putting out some quality edits and stuff like that. And they're doing it on the phone. So even they deserve a nice editor from Samsung. Can you think of any other reasons why this is probably not the best phone on the market? I would say the last thing is The front camera on the S24 Ultra is not better than the front camera on this device. It's not better. The front camera on the S24 Plus is phenomenal. Why is that? Why is it that that camera, in my opinion, comes across better than this camera? Doesn't make any sense. I'm done. It's your man Jay. Great phone. Love it. Use it every day. But it's definitely not the best phone on the market. Comment down below.